Hey everyone, it's Randy from Profitbot Pro again. I'm going to do a quick run through on how to set up and use Profitbot Pro automated mining software. So what I'm going to do first is I already have it running. I'm going to close it. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to my Git repository. There's a link on the website and download the zip file for Profitbot Pro. Extract it to somewhere on the C drive. I called it profitbot_pro. Open that up. There's a couple of files you're going to want to pay attention to: coin settings and settings. So we'll walk through settings first. This is the version of the software. When the software starts, it compares this version to the version on the web. If you have automatic updates enabled, it'll download and update the software. It'll also import your settings from the old version into the new version, so you can perform an unattended update really any time of day. I've pushed an update in the middle of the night, and then I saw my rigs pick it up and start mining again without any issues. So here's the path we did on the C drive right here. Make sure you use 2 slashes. If you put 1 in, it'll get removed, so you need the extra one. Right here we set up static mode, so if static mode is no, that means it's going to be in Profit Manager mode. It'll talk to my API. Whatever coins match, it'll pick the highest on the list and start mining. If you want to just mine 1 coin, you can change this to yes, and it'll stay on that 1 coin until you shut it down. For updates, there's 2 features. One of them is update check. If you want to check for updates and be alerted to updates, then you can turn that to yes. If you want to be alerted to updates and then also let it update, then you'd select yes on the second one. This is the URL to my API. You don't want to change that, otherwise it's going to stop working. Enable logging. If you'd like to have logs, you can say yes or no. Log age, that's days. So after 7 days, the logs will be deleted. This is a rotating log system that cleans itself up. If you have a multi-core CPU and you want to take advantage of mining with the different algorithms, I created this variable right here, delete CPU text. So if it's mining heavy, for example, you'd maybe only want to use 2 or 4 cores, whereas if it's mining light and you've got an 8-thread system, it'll mine all 8. So if you do delete CPU text, it'll delete the CPU file and recreate it for that algo, and then use the appropriate number of threads. Mining timer is how long you would like it to mine before it starts looking for another coin. A lot of these pools are PPLNS or whatever the heck the abbreviation is. So the longer that you stay in the pool, the more profitable it is. So I like to keep this around 20. Sleep seconds, you'll notice on the screen information scrolling up. This is the amount of time it takes between new information coming up and the old information. So I like to keep it around 30 seconds. The system will tell you audibly if it's switching to another coin and what the name of the coin is. So if you keep your volume up, you may select yes for this if you want to hear from the other room. If it gets annoying, you can just change this to no. If you have a system that is kind of flaky, you want to set this number to be higher. For example, I have a system that's all cheap 550s, and I set this to 10 or 15 seconds because it takes longer for them to shut down before it spins up a new worker window. So 5 seems to be pretty good for almost everything I have except for the 550s. The system also has an automatic benchmark that you can run. This is the amount of time in minutes that you'd like to mine each one of the coins. 3 is a pretty decent number. If you want to get up and running quick, you can just set it to 1. Enable coin data, that's receiving it from my API. I would leave this turned on. Coin data age, I have 6 APIs. depending on which API you want to talk to, you would change this right here. So current means live data. There's a bunch of options here. I'll post those options on the website so you can see what they are. If you have a system that has NVIDIA, AMD, and CPU, maybe you want to mine all three. This system here does not have any NVIDIA, so I'm going to change that one to no. So I will mine with the CPU, and I will mine with AMD. Let's head over to coin settings. Again, version number. The system will also detect if there's a version mismatch between the two, and it'll fix it. So the default coin setting is if you are in static mode, it will mine whatever coin is right here. If you have, like I have, a bunch of coins, and let's say none of them match, the system will automatically revert to the default coin. So when you download from me, you're going to see all these. You don't necessarily need to have all these. You can just have just a few. Make sure if you delete these, notice down here no comma. So let's say you decide to delete all these. Make sure you remove this comma right here. Otherwise, you're going to have a parsing error. Down here's the mining parameters. Each one of these sections identifies information about a specific coin. So make sure you put in the symbol here, caps, software, XMR stack. I support numerous forks of XMR stack. I'm trying to find one. B2N miner, for example. So if you happen to know, and again, I'll post this information on the website, but if you happen to know which of the miners is preferred for that specific coin, you could choose to change that. I think I have, what do I have, 4? Yeah. XMR stack, MOX, FEST, and B2N. So the next parameter is called static param. So some of these pools allow you to put in a fixed figure for your hash rates, fixed diff. So this number represents the different ways the different pools expect to see that information. So for example, static param 2 is wallet and then a period and then your hash rate. Static param 1 would be a plus sign instead of the period. I'll put all that information on the web so you know which one to pick. The algo, you can match that up to what you see on my coin calculator. So you see heavy, light, there's a bunch of different ones in here. Regular V7. Right here, you put in the pool address and the port number, so make sure you separate them by a colon. Put in your own wallet ID. You'll have to download your own wallet for each coin. Please don't use mine, otherwise you'll be mining for me. If the pool requires a payment ID, you can put that in here. I don't even think I use this anywhere anymore, but the option's there on the older pools. A lot of them use one that's merged. So anyway, the last thing with AMD, you can set this up so that you can have different text files. So for example, tube, I set things a little bit lower. Light, I set things a little bit higher. You can create one of these for each coin if you really want to. All you got to do is just change the name right here. When you spin the thing up, it's going to create the file for you. I then go in and on AMD machines, I set up dual threads. I won't go into that in this tutorial, but the next one, I will talk about that and how to do that. So let's go back to the folder here. To start it, you can either click the batch file or you can click this icon right here. It will start the program. The very first time you run this, it is going to run a benchmark. If you do not want to run a benchmark and you want to configure everything yourself, just create a file called system_benchmark.success. So inside this folder here are all the files for this specific mining rig and what it needs to mine. So you have the AMD files, you have these files that my software creates. So what it does is it figures out what the fixed diff should be and then also what your hash rate is for that specific one. We also have the logs in here. I'll show you what they look like. It tells you what the threads are doing. You can sort through this, and you can see that right here the profit changed. It's going to switch to this, and then it mined it for 36 minutes. Maybe the next day you want to find out what you mined the night before. The system also auto creates the pools.txt file, so you don't need to fill this out at all. Every time it switches algos, it'll recreate it with the appropriate information in it. I don't think there's anything else in there. Okay, so let's start up Profitbot Pro. So you'll see the header here. It's going to go out. It's going to check to make sure the folder structures are there. It'll create them if they're not. It'll create the backup folder structure, so every time you perform an update, the system will put the previous version in previous version, and then the one that was sitting in there prior gets zipped and put into backups. I don't have it turned on this specific machine, but if we performed an update with that on, then the contents of previous version would be in backups. Okay, so let's go back up here. So what do we have? We're running the correct version. It matches the web version. It's going to tell us that we've already performed a benchmark. It's going to tell us what we're connecting to. I'm currently mining number 6 in the API list, which means that there's 5 coins above this that I don't mine. It's going to identify the worker. The worker name is going to be the name of the computer, and then it'll subsequently create the folder for that computer as well. It's going to tell you the video cards you have in the system, what you're about to mine, some connection information about that, and then it's going to start the worker, so that window auto minimizes. You'll see that right here. So I'm mining a heavy algo right now. These will eventually warm up and they'll all be somewhere around 520. There are 6 RX 580s in this system. I get about 1040 hash on heavy on these. So after it runs for a little bit, then it's going to start talking to my API. It's going to start talking to the HTTPD interface that's enabled on XMR Stack. And then it's going to tell us how fast we're mining. So 5546. It's going to tell us what the network difficulty is for what we're mining, what the USD and Bitcoin amount is for that, what we can expect to see if we were to mine this for 24 hours, and how much we could expect to make. Now, obviously, some of these coins are a little ridiculous. Some of the newer ones that are on exchanges with lower volume, they may appear like you're actually going to make, buku bucks, but it's not really likely. Like this says, it's every 30 seconds. This thing is going to go out and refresh at 3:59 p.m. It's going to go out and it's going to look and see what the next profitable coin is. If it's this one, then it's going to keep mining it, and it's going to check in intervals of 30 seconds. If you remember that 30-second variable in the settings.conf. And when it finds something new, then it'll switch, and you'll see this window open again, and it'll start mining the next coin. And that's it for this segment. Thanks. Have a good day.